Afternoon, meteorologist Eric Fisher along with our executive weather producer Terry Eliasen here. It's a busy day at the office. Got the game on as well, and hopefully you have the game on one screen and CBS News Boston on the other. Yeah.
We are off and running. The snowstorm has arrived, and man, it came in, big time.
Well, it's very easy to accumulate when it's about 4 degrees outside and all the surfaces are cold and it's really powdery stuff. And yeah, it's very much midwinter out there at the moment.
It is an Arctic, it's like where we've been transported into the upper regions.
Yeah, we don't have many storms like this. Honestly, look at the temperature map and you see a lot of single digits where it's snowing heavily. I mean, I can count maybe on one hand how many times you can think of a storm like that around here.
Yeah, I keep bringing it up, but that President's Day storm back in 2003 was definitely a fluffer nutter. But there haven't been, you're right, lately there have not been many. We haven't had many storms in general lately.
Actually, Terry sent me a text message on like Tuesday. It's like, I have President's Day storm vibes. And that's pretty accurate because it wasn't a powerful nor'easter. It didn't have crazy winds or really blizzard conditions. It just kept snowing and we got a lot of snow, which is kind of like this system.
And it's our greatest storm in history by Boston snow records and nobody remembers it. So what is that? And
everyone thought it was complete bullcrap at the time when they said, it beat the blizzard of 78. Right. Like, what? It was a very different storm system. It didn't have the coastal flooding and the waves and the destruction that 78 had, of course.
Exactly. And I think this one, looking back, won't either, but I do think it will be memorable just because we haven't had a storm in 4 years. So what else is there to remember when it comes to weather?
Exactly. All right, so what we're watching basically is now through Monday. Now, the most intense part of the storm is this afternoon and evening up till about 10 o'clock tonight. And that's where you have those really strong snowfall rates. That's why we're saying travel's not a great idea. I mean, plows can't really keep up when you've got snowfall rates like that. And tomorrow's snow will be mostly lighter. We are going to see some late mix with sleet across the south coast and the Cape in particular, so light fluffy snow will get heavier for cleanup later on tonight. And those peak totals will be up around 2 feet. That is a significant, big deal snowstorm here in southern New England.
Yeah, a lot of dark blue in that map, and that dark blue basically indicating heavy snow bands. Those are the 1 to 2 inch an hour that Eric was referencing, and it's almost just about everywhere now. It's hard to differentiate. There was a major, really heavy band that came in about, say it was about noon and 1 o'clock, and now it's just heavy everywhere, essentially.
Yeah, taking over, and when we watch the sleet line, it's not going to be a huge part of the storm, but it's something that we'll just track later on today. It's up around New York City, and it's going to slide along the coast of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts later on today. So you'll get some of that pinging toward the tail end of the storm, which is a widespread one. In fact, so many hazards with this. We've talked about the snow and the ice and the sleet. When you see those tornado warnings down in Florida, they're expecting a pretty significant tornado outbreak this afternoon.
Yeah, and New York City always feels like they're always right on the edge.
Yes, it's a very tough place to forecast, like Boston.
Boston is not easy either, but I feel like, New York's even a little bit tougher. Seems like they're always right on that rain, sleet, snow line.
Yeah, they've got 7 inches was the last report at 1 o'clock there at Central Park, and they're starting to mix with sleet, so we'll see how much more adds up through the afternoon. There's a look at the visibility. You know it's snowing good when the visibility is under a half mile in many spots, including Boston, right at a half mile right now, about a quarter mile in Taunton and Providence and Worcester and Fitchburg as well. Not a ton of wind, but just steady, heavy snow.
Man, look at those temperatures. That is unreal. We're talking single digits north and west of Boston. It's been there all weekend. Basically, we had the 20 below zero wind chills yesterday morning, and we haven't really recovered much. We're still there. We will see that coastal front, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a minute. Later this afternoon, temperatures are going to rise 10, 15 degrees across eastern Mass.
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit different. The consistency will change a little bit as well. Our weather watchers have been sending in some reports. Got 5 inches in North Grafton so far, 4 in Rentham, Billerica's at 3, Phillipston at 3, a little over 2 in Randolph, and we'll see the numbers change pretty frequently this afternoon with those heavier snowfall rates. And you can see how things really hit their peak late afternoon and into the evening hours. This is where we'll see the heaviest snowfall. You also see the temperatures coming up a little bit near the coastline into the 20s, and then late in the game as we head toward the evening, some of that sleet scraping the south coast into the Cape. So things will get a little bit sloppier there as we head into the overnight, particularly if you're on Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket. Interior areas, I think that's a little optimistic temperature-wise. We'll probably stay in the single digits and teens. And then tomorrow, we'll still have some scattered snow around throughout the day. The steadiest looks like it'll be in the evening. So that's annoying.
Just when you thought it was over.
Most of the storm will be cleaned up, and then we could get another 1 to 3 inches of snow during the evening hours that we'll have to clean up again heading into the overnight. So that's always kind of kicking the teeth.
That's a pretty decent looking at backlash at the end there. Especially right along the coastline. You throw a couple ocean-enhanced bands in there along with just the back edge of this thing coming through. And if you clean up tomorrow, which I'm sure a lot of folks will, there'll be a secondary cleanup.
Definitely. I think we're heading toward the upper end of our ranges here, 12 to 20 widespread, a little bit less on the south coast and the Cape. Those lowest totals on Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. A pretty good shot at making a run at 2 feet of snowfall from Boston up along Essex County, most of Middlesex County, Worcester County, southern New Hampshire, the Berkshires and the Greens. That is a whole bunch of snow.
That's a lot. And a lot of folks are asking, when was the last time we had 2 feet of snow? Well, it was actually just 4 years ago, 23.8 inches. It's hard to believe it. It seems like it was a decade ago, but just 4 years ago, and that was our last time. The last time the Pats were in the playoffs as well.
Also true. And then we look at Boston stats a lot, and I'm forgetting the year. I should have looked it up before we did this, but there was a storm in March that put down 3 feet of snow in places like Ashby and Ashburnham. That was just a couple of years ago. That was a very hyper-local, high elevation storm.
Yes.
And every year there's something interesting that pops. But if you just look at Boston, if you hit 2 feet of snow, that's an exceptional amount of snow for the city.
Yeah, only happened 6 times. I mean, we almost got there, 23.8, and like I said, 4 years ago. But it just looks weird. The Blizzard 78. We should do some kind of recount on that 2003 storm. The Blizzard 78 should be on top, but it isn't. But everyone, of course, remembers the April 1997 April Fool's storm, and there've been quite a few. We had a stretch there in the early 2000s where we were adding onto this list quick.
I think I've made a 2 to 3 foot snowfall map before, maybe 2 of them in 2015.
Right.
Not necessarily just in Boston, but we've had numerous storms produce 2 feet of snow in the last 10 years or so. It's just the last few that have been quiet.
Biggest decade for Boston snow on record was something like 2008 to 2018.
Yep. And then the lowest was the 10
now.
years, up through now. So there you see, the last few winters, those are the biggest Boston snowfalls. We'll blow that out of the water today, and we'll end that streak of 6-inch or less snowfalls. It'll be the second longest on record. Basically, the only other streak that's been similar to this for a lack of snow up to this point was in the 80s to the early 90s. And so that's coming to a big screeching halt.
Yeah, look at those. I mean, the season-long high-end 3, 4, 5-inch snowstorms.
I just put the snow brush in my car today, and I'm not sure that I used it in the last several years.
I don't think I've had a snow brush for 3 or 4 years in my car.
Yeah. So that's how we roll in Boston. It either does not much or a ton. You look at January snow in the last 10 years. This year is going to end up looking similar to 2022 when all is said and done, when this storm's finished. So you're going to have a lot of low snow years, and then when you get a big storm, you get a really big storm.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of late, some decent February snow over the last couple of years. But, I mean, otherwise, December's and January has been pretty paltry. So.
All right. Now, wind. This is why it's not necessarily blizzard warnings up.
Yeah.
We might get a little period of gusts close to blizzard criteria later on this evening and overnight. So there's a chance some coastal spots might actually meet the criteria. We'll have to see if those winds can coincide with the heavier snowfall rates. It's not going to be widespread. Most of the wind is going to be right at the coastline, right by the water.
And technically, you've got to do it for 3 consecutive hours to get an official blizzard. So again, with the winds being so borderline, 35 being the number you got to hit. Visibility less than a quarter mile. I'm not sure we'll do it for 3 straight hours anywhere, but I mean, semantics anyway.
Semantics. It's very snowy, poor visibility, poor travel out there. The wind won't be the headline. Some moderate impacts near the water, some blowing and drifting there, especially because the snow is so powdery. It'll easily blow around. Coastal flooding, thankfully, not part of this storm because of the lack of wind and the low astronomical tides.
Yeah, for a 2-foot snowstorm, really, it's about as well behaved and at least impactful as it could be. Getting 2 feet of snow, you have winds that are borderline and no coastal flooding, and power outages should be low. I'm sure there'll be some, but nonetheless, we don't have that heavy, sticky snow other than on the south coast. So.
Yeah, I think when you think of the real hallmark storms, you think of the ones that check all the boxes, where you've got the coastal flooding and the waves and the surf and then some damage involved. And this one is really just about a whole bunch of snow that's falling and stacking on up pretty easily. Tomorrow we're in the teens and 20s. Now, still some scattered snow. I think schools closed across the board, so everyone's going to be outside sledding.
Yeah, we just actually, when we were doing this, Jacob and I were here about an hour ago, and he just got a notification that Milford had just closed. I thought everyone had already decided, but probably there are a few schools that are like, let's just wait and see.
I think that's fine. I agree with you. I'll tell you how it is fine. Wait and see. Weather's fickle. Things change sometimes.
Yes, maybe a little less so now than they say maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But when we're calling for I don't believe we've ever had, at least in your tenure here, we've called for a snowstorm like this and had like a miss or a complete,
One.
Oh, which one?
2023? 2023 maybe, or 24.
Recent, yes.
It dropped like So the thing that happened with that storm is, one, is it changed a lot in a short amount of time, but it was, I think it was going to be a Monday night start time storm.
Okay. I blocked it out.
But the Sunday, where everything started trending south, we're like, hold on, was Super Bowl Sunday. So no one was paying attention.
Gosh, that's right. Okay.
No one was watching. And then, yeah, we ended up on Monday saying, yep, it's going to miss. But at that point, people had already made the call, and that was that.
I blocked that one out of my mind. Okay, one. Okay, happened once.
It does still happen sometimes, but it's infrequent.
But just to say that, you really don't have to cancel school 2-3 days ahead of time.
No.
It's fine to wait, give folks, a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
But I agree. Let's wait and see the snow come down. Okay, it's really happening. Call school off.
Yeah. And you could always even do a preemptive strike. People send out, when Boston schools close, I get 14 emails and alerts and things to my school. Like, there's no way you could not know. Just say, we're watching the storm, there's a chance. We'll let you know by X time tomorrow.
Yeah, I would have to think that 99% of schools are canceled tomorrow. Maybe something on the Cape. Maybe they're waiting to see. But tomorrow. And it'd be interesting.
Maybe Tuesday too.
It'd be interesting to see, because with that last burst of snow, they got to clean up. It's not just the roads, the sidewalks. There's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, especially in Boston, the sidewalk thing is really the biggest issue, because somebody walked to school, they have to clear all of the sidewalks, and so there's a chance they might cancel Tuesday as well. We'll have to see how that last backlash ends up looking for us.
Hang in there, kids. There's a chance. Look at that. So after the storm, not a whole lot of warm up or melting.
No, nature's not going to help us out here. So the last time we had a big storm was in 2022, and it melted in 5 days.
Gone.
All of it. This is not going to melt. This is a pattern that's kind of like a baby 2015 pattern, to be honest. It's the same kind of look. It's really warm and snowless out west. It's really cold out east with a big storm that's been brewing here. And I'm sure there'll be some more storm chances. The next window for a storm would be about 8 days from now. Right now, it looks to be offshore, but we know how weather changes in an 8-day time frame. So we'll watch that. But what's locked in is the cold. It is going nowhere.
The atmosphere looks awfully dynamic, like you said, 7-10 days from now. Something big's going to happen somewhere, I think. It might not be here. It could go south, whatever. It's a ways off. But I do think we're in it now. Like, for the next at least several weeks, I think we're in it for cold and storm chances. Like, this is it.
It's not dissimilar from the 2015 look.
It's not. You just need, in 2015,
everything went perfect.
Hit.
Yeah,
Right,
everything hit. And it really just hit us.
Right.
Someone said to me the other day, they said, I live in Connecticut, and this is going to be our biggest storm since 2013. And I said, really? And then I looked, and they were right, because in 2015, those storms didn't even affect Connecticut. It was just us getting crushed here
it was
in the Boston
New England
area.
special. Actually, not even New England, really. Very local.
The coastal eastern New England,
Yeah.
every single one. So while they're similar, every pattern is a little bit different, and the atmosphere is kind of like a combination lock. Things change just a little bit, and if they're perfect, you get everything.
Yeah, but back in 14-15, we literally had 6 weeks where everything hit. Like, nothing would miss.
Nothing.
You could sneeze and it would snow outside.
Literally, a storm would end, and I would end the storm with, and here's the forecast for 5 days from now as we watch the next nor'easter.
So while the pattern may look similar, the chances of something like that happening again,
probably not
remote.
But I would be surprised if we don't get one more big storm in addition to this one.
Yeah. I think at this point, I feel good that the total Boston snowfall at the end of the season is going to be probably over the average.
Yeah.
I mean, just with this storm alone, we're be over 30 inches easy. And then, 15, 20 to go.
Selfishly, great winter outlook from WBZ. We told you in November everything's going exactly the way we talked about it. So sometimes it works out that way.
Sometimes it does, yes.
Sometimes, every once in a while.
Not easy.
Those idiots talking about the weather get it right every once in a while, I guess. I can give you one more thing to look at here, and it's just the forecast as we make our way into the end of the week and the weekend. And temperatures, not the weekend, but the week. Temperatures say near 20 by day and near 0 at night. So when we talk about no melting, this is no melting personified. We are getting closer to sun angle season, so
Here, Mr. Optimism.
I'm going to try to be a little optimistic. There'll be a good amount of sunshine in the next 7 days, and we're certainly acclimated to the cold. So, I am a firm believer in everything's relative. It's certainly going to be a very cold stretch for us here in our coldest winter since 2017-18 at least.
2 in a row, though.
2 in a row.
Yeah.
We're back in that part of the cycle.
Whoever thought? I mean, it felt like we were going nowhere but up with temperatures and down with snow for years, and what goes around comes around. Weather is fickle. That's weird that way. It's big ups and downs, and we're back on the winter train here. So.
Yep. Yes, we are. So
we will have.
Buckle up and enjoy it.
We're going to have an update at halftime. I know. Listen, I'm guessing most of you are going to watch the game. Well, we're going to be watching the game here.
Yep.
But we're going to have an update on the storm at halftime here at WBZ.com. So get to go quick bathroom break and check out what the latest is. Right?
Yep, and we'll keep you updated. And we'll have a newscast right after the game as well. So we'll have full coverage of the storm. And we're going to keep this updated as we head through the afternoon and the evening and all the way up through the end of it as well.
There you go. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Again, you don't have to like the forecast, but you can like the meteorologists that are sending it your way.
All right. Have a great day.